Why wouldn't you, just to see if it does anything to the offense, give him an opportunity to go in there and play?
Yeah, obviously my focus is where we are right now, Mary Kay. That's not my focus.
The focus is where we are right now, Mary Kay. That's not my focus. Guys, can we stop asking these questions? Y'all know this man don't want to play.
Cleveland is officially in chaos, and it all started with one question. Mary Kay Kitt looked Kevin Stefanski dead in the eye and asked what everyone in the building was thinking. Why not give Shedeur Sanders a chance to play?
That answer made no sense to me.
That made no sense, and I'll be honest with you, I think he knew it made no sense.
Okay, so wait.
There's no defending that kind of answer.
No, there isn't. So are you making the suggestion? And listen, I don't even know. You might be dead on the money on this one. Okay, I want to flesh this thing out completely here. That Stefanski will play Dillon Gabriel, and if they at any point say you have to go to Shedeur, he'll just continue to say no and no and no, and you know the end result of that.
Yes,
he's asking to get fired.
Yes, or I think there's a lot
like mid-season. He's asking to get fired. Either I play Dillon Gabriel and I'm not moving to Shedeur, and if you want me to move to Shedeur, guess what?
The room went silent. Stefanski's response? My focus is where we are right now, Mary Kay. Cold, robotic, dismissive. That single exchange lit the fuse on one of the wildest controversies the Browns have faced in years. Fans immediately caught the tone. It wasn't just a no, it was a shutdown, a wall. Like even mentioning Shedeur's name was off limits. You could almost see Stefanski's body language change every time the question came up. It's as if the name Shedeur Sanders triggered something deep inside that man, and everyone watching could feel it.
Cleveland reporter Mary Kay asked Coach Kevin Stefanski another question about Shedeur. He disses Shedeur. Yeah, I told you guys, he doesn't like hearing Shedeur Sanders' name. I've been telling you guys this over and over again. When it comes to Coach Kevin Stefanski and hearing the name of Shedeur Sanders, it's like a vampire tasting garlic for the first time.
But Mary Kay didn't back down. She knew what she heard, and what she saw didn't add up. According to her report, Shedeur didn't even decide to sit out the game. That decision came from above. The word injury got thrown around. But what kind of injury lets you run, throw, and warm up with no problem? Something smelled off.
Stefanski had his press conference today and a very interesting back and forth with Mary Kay Cabot. She asked him some questions about Shedeur Sanders and the back tightness that held him out of yesterday's game. And some of the nuggets in there were quite interesting, if you ask me. So she said Shedeur mentioned in the locker room yesterday, either before or after the game, that it wasn't his decision not to be active in the game yesterday. Now, I know that's not always a big deal because obviously it is the medical staff and the coaching decision whether or not a player is going to be active and all that kind of stuff.
The locker room whispers started immediately. Teammates saw Shedeur moving fine, stretching, tossing the ball around like he was ready to go. But Stefanski claimed his back wasn't right. The same back that apparently felt perfect just hours earlier. Fans online went nuclear. Within minutes, theories flooded Reddit, X, and every sports talk show in America.
I'm here to tell you, man, Kevin Stefanski days are getting numbered. Andrew Barry been saying, you know what, cut the ish. Even Mary Kay said, you know what, I'm tired of lying. I want to see some winning because the quarterbacks that's coming out of the draft next year is hot ass. The quarterbacks are hot ass garbage. We need to see Shedeur. I'm tired of lying. That's what Mary Kay just said yesterday.
Did Stefanski fake the injury? Is he protecting Dillon Gabriel? Is this ego over logic? The answers weren't clear, but the frustration was. Cleveland was tired of excuses. They wanted fire on the field, not behind microphones. And that week's game only made things worse.
Kevin Stefanski is going to go down with the ship. He's going to go down on his sword. He's going to go down backing Dillon Gabriel any chance he can get. And Mary Kay Cabot, she really exposed Kevin Stefanski about this whole Shedeur Sanders situation. Now, it's a lot of stuff that's going back and forth, man. A lot of Cleveland media personnel, they are done with Dillon Gabriel. They want Shedeur Sanders to take the reins. And Kevin Stefanski is hell-bent on standing 10 toes down and supporting Dillon Gabriel any chance.
The Browns got humiliated by the Patriots in what can only be described as a meltdown. The offense looked lost. Gabriel couldn't complete a pass beyond 10 yards, and fans were already chanting for Shedeur by halftime. Yet, the kids stayed glued to the bench, helmet in hand, ready to go, while Stefanski doubled down on the same failing formula. Analysts called it delusion.
actually voice that. That's the interesting part. So Shedeur himself felt the need to express that it was not his decision to be inactive for the game. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I thought that was interesting because she then follows it up with, if Shedeur had come to you guys and said, hey, I want to play, I can play, would that have factored into this at all, or what was the thinking behind it? And Kevin answered like this. He said, yeah, he obviously came in Saturday with his back injury. We were hopeful that he'd be able to move around well enough to suit up on Sunday, but put him through a pregame warm-up and obviously just didn't feel like he was ready to play, Mary Kay. And here's where the interesting nugget comes in. He says, but he's getting better every day, and I'm...
Some even said it was career suicide in slow motion. The tension hit a breaking point when Mary Kay publicly questioned the story again, calling Stefanski's explanation nonsense. She wasn't wrong. Every word out of his mouth made less sense than the last. That's when the real chaos began. Local media picked up steam, and national commentators jumped in. Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, everyone was talking about it. Was this the moment Stefanski lost the locker room? Because if you asked players privately, you'd get the same answer. They were done pretending this was normal. Myles Garrett, the face of the defense and one of the few still holding the team together, reached his limit. He didn't hold a press conference and scream about it, but his frustration was visible. On the field, in interviews, in the way he carried himself, this wasn't just another rough week. This was a team tearing apart from the inside. Garrett made it clear
that there is some kind of vitriol toward Shedeur Sanders. Now, it's a lot of speculation that went on about the back injury. They saying that Shedeur Sanders actually told them that he had some back tightness. But the reports that I'm getting are telling me that Shedeur did not tell them that he was having any back soreness or back tightness. They said that they watched Shedeur warm up and they noticed that something...
He wanted to win, no matter who played quarterback. That statement alone said it all. When your defensive captain starts speaking in code about leadership issues, the house is already on fire, and the flames were only getting bigger. Inside sources began leaking that GM Andrew Berry wasn't happy either.
And say things about Shedeur Sanders. All you have to do is say, look, I get it. Shedeur has a very, big personality and he's known globally, right? But I know Shedeur Sanders as a person, and as what I see here. He works hard, he's intelligent, he puts the work in, he's humble, he's a great teammate, and all of those things, I hope you guys get an opportunity to see that eventually when he gets on the field. And guess what? It would diffuse all bad articles and people would go away. But since you won't say his name...
He'd defended Stefanski for months, but even he couldn't ignore the mounting evidence. The locker room was split, players were openly doubting decisions, and fan patience was at an all-time low. Stefanski, meanwhile, kept doing pressers like everything was fine. Every answer sounded scripted, emotionless, detached, like a man who either didn't see the problem or refused to admit it. Reports even suggested he was doubling down out of pride, afraid that if Shedeur came in and balled out, it would expose how wrong his choices had been all season. And honestly, that theory made perfect sense, because anyone watching the games could see Gabriel was struggling. His QBR ranked dead last, 32 out of 32 quarterbacks, 2 picks, 0 rhythm, a lost offense. And still, Stefanski stuck with him. It's like he'd rather lose his job than lose the narrative. That's when fans realized this wasn't just about football anymore. This was about ego, control, and a coach who couldn't admit he was wrong. Mary Kay's persistence made her a hero to fans and a villain to the franchise. Every question she asked pulled another thread out of the carefully stitched lie. She wasn't just exposing a coaching decision, she was exposing the unraveling of a culture built on denial. By now, even neutral reporters were saying it. The Browns weren't losing games, they were losing credibility. And Shedeur Sanders, he became the symbol of what could have been, a rookie ready to shine, silenced by a coach who refused to let go of control.
Stefanski is once again dehumanizing Shedeur, right? We're going to have to put him down before the Rams game and he gets sacked 5 times. And now we're at the point to where he'd rather lose than put in Shedeur. Now, Dillon Gabriel has a 25 QBR rating, which ranks 32nd out of 32 NFL quarterbacks.
The next week in Cleveland felt like a countdown to disaster. Every insider knew something was about to break, but nobody could predict just how messy it would get. Monday morning, reports hit social media that multiple Browns veterans had approached the front office privately, questioning whether Kevin Stefanski had lost the team. By noon, ESPN's insider Adam Schefter dropped a bomb. Cleveland's leadership was evaluating all options at head coach. Translation, the end was coming. But Stefanski didn't act like a man under fire. He walked into the facility the same way he always did. Calm, cold, unreadable, no emotion. Just a stack of playbooks and that same quiet arrogance that had already driven half the locker room insane. Players weren't buying it anymore. Sources say Shedeur Sanders had completely checked out, frustrated and embarrassed after being publicly sidelined under false pretenses. One anonymous teammate said, "The kid's ready, but the coach won't let him cook. It's politics now."
Up everything. I don't care when you do it. You could do it today. You could do it at the end of the year. You could do it at the bye week. I'm done. I'm done. These people can't get out of their own way. Hey man, I'm not here to rag on people personally or talk about. I can only go by their record. Their record sucks. How could you do that?
That quote went viral instantly. And once it did, there was no putting the genie back in the bottle. Fans flooded social media demanding Stefanski's firing. Free Shedeur trended for 2 straight days. Analysts began tearing apart every Browns offensive snap, proving that nothing about Stefanski's scheme made sense. Predictable play calls, 0 adjustments, no creativity. And every time Gabriel stumbled, it looked worse for the head coach. The moment that broke everything came during Wednesday's practice. Reporters on site noticed Shedeur throwing absolute darts during warm-ups. Laser accuracy, full speed, no sign of that so-called back injury. Cameras caught every second, and within hours, the footage hit every sports feed in America. The narrative flipped instantly. The injury excuse? Dead. The cover-up? Exposed. Stefanski's credibility? Gone. It was chaos. Every local talk show shredded him that night. One host called it the biggest lie Cleveland's ever been sold. Another said, "He's done. You can't come back from this."
Cleveland Browns insider Mary Kay has just reported that Kevin Stefanski is going to stick with Dillon Gabriel coming after the bye week. He's still leaving him in after a horrible performance this week, and majority of the other weeks he hasn't thrown for 200 yards, but in one game, 2 interceptions and a safety, nothing but 2 passes that were over 10 yards in the air, and he's still going to leave him in. This says everything.
And as the noise got louder, Stefanski went silent. No statements, no explanations. Just damage control meetings behind closed doors. But the truth was already out there. The team had stopped believing. Mary Kay, meanwhile, doubled down again, this time dropping a full-length expose detailing every contradiction in Stefanski's story. From the so-called injury timeline to the internal rift between the coach and front office, she laid it all bare. It wasn't just journalism anymore. It was a public execution. And Cleveland was watching every second. By Thursday, the locker room had split into 2 camps. On one side, the Stefanski loyalists, veterans clinging to structure. On the other, the new wave, players backing Shedeur, believing he was the spark the franchise needed. Tension hung over the practice field like fog. Nobody was smiling. Nobody trusted anyone. Sources said Myles Garrett tried to pull the team together, telling everyone to keep the focus on football. But deep down, he knew the storm was too big to stop. Friday morning, a local reporter asked Stefanski point blank if Shedeur was healthy. He looked straight into the camera and said, "We're making the best decisions for the team." That was it. No clarity, no accountability, just another rehearsed line. Fans exploded. The comment section of the Browns' official postgame thread turned into a war zone. Hundreds of messages calling him a coward, a liar, a fraud. People weren't just questioning his coaching anymore. They were questioning his integrity. And when Sunday came, the final nail hit. Cleveland got crushed again, this time by the Ravens. The offense barely moved the ball. The stadium crowd chanted, "We want Shedeur," so loud it drowned out the commentary feed. Cameras caught Stefanski staring at the field, motionless, like he finally realized the walls were closing in. The next morning, the inevitable happened. Reports confirmed that the Browns had begun internal discussions about potential leadership changes. The same phrase used just days before every major firing in NFL history. Insiders said ownership had lost faith. Stefanski's stubbornness, the fake injury excuse, the humiliation on national TV, it all added up. Mary Kay was vindicated. The fans were right. And Shedeur Sanders, the player they tried to hide, suddenly became the face of a movement. Cleveland wasn't angry anymore. They were united in one demand: give the kid his shot. As the front office weighed its next move, one thing became obvious. The Stefanski era was over in spirit, even if the paperwork hadn't been filed yet. The team had turned the page. What comes next could redefine the Browns entirely. A rookie quarterback with swagger, a city desperate for redemption, and a scandal that might have just cleared the path for both. Because sometimes chaos isn't the end, it's the beginning. And for Cleveland, that beginning might start with the name everyone tried to silence: Shedeur